Hey there, Amplifiers. Kenny Harper here, and joining me today is a rockstar professional when it comes to speaking and creating amazing content that is different, that gets attention, and gets people in action. Now, he's an inspiring author and certified speaker. He's actually a CSP. I'd like to welcome to Growth Amplifiers, Mr. Stan Phelps.
Thank you, Kenny. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being here today as we're doing a lot of cool things in this market. It's an honor to have you here. I know you've graced the stages of so many different organizations, businesses, and companies around the world. And I'm glad to have you here. Now, I'm familiar with who you are, but I'd like if you could take a quick moment just to introduce yourself to Growth Amplifiers and share with the world, who is Stan Phelps?
Who is Stan Phelps? Stan Phelps was born at a very young age, Kenny. So I after about 2 decades in both brand and agency side marketing, I made the jump to become a full-time author and speaker. I did that about 8 years ago. And now I kind of examine the future of both the customer experience and the employee experience. And so I write for Forbes. I have a series of books called the Goldfish series of books, and fortunate enough to be able to travel around, not much recently, but typically get going places, a lot of in-person keynotes and workshops.
Now, Stan, you are an interesting fish, a fish of a different color. And in fact, one of the cool things that I've always been impressed is your series of, think outside the bowl books. And I've had the opportunity to get your first one, Purple Goldfish. Is that your first one? That is your first one, right?
Yes. Yes.
Followed by Green and Gold, or Gold and Green, whichever way it is. And you have a whole series which are really impressive. And they're not just filled with like a lot of fluff. They actually have actionable, interesting content, real case studies. Would you care to share kind of like that whole concept behind the Purple Goldfish and the Goldfish?
Yeah. So we just came out with the last week, the 10th color in the series, which is the silver goldfish.
Coveted silver.
But it's really been a progression. So the first 3 colors were purple, green, and gold. Great memory. Mm-hmm. That was an ode to New Orleans. They happen to be the 3 official colors of Mardi Gras. And the reason why it's an ode to New Orleans is that there's one word that comes from New Orleans that kind of exemplifies the concept that I write about. And it's a Creole word called lagniappe. And it's a word that Mark Twain, when he used to live in New Orleans, he wrote in his autobiography, he said it was worth traveling all the way to New Orleans to get.
I love that one.
And it's this idea that that the business, right, does a little something extra to honor the relationship, to go beyond just the transactional mindset, and to do a little bit more. And so I was a marketer, and everything I did was about for me, it was all about the end all be all was the customer. How do we do the little things to improve the experience that we provide? And what I realized when I studied hundreds of companies is that the companies that really got this, Kenny, actually spent more time on their own team and doing the same concept for their employees. Little things that they did beyond the dollars that they paid. So purple was all about customers. Green was all about employees. Gold was based on the understanding that all employees and all customers are not created equal. So for almost everyone listening to this right now, for most businesses, the top 20% of customers drive 80% of the company's profitability, right? It may not be total sales, but profitability. Same thing for an organization that 20% of the salespeople will generate 80% of the sales.
Right.
So you don't treat everyone the same, but you treat them fairly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of went on from there. Again, silver was the 10th color in the series.
I think that's really important to have that awareness and perspective. A lot of times the squeaky wheel gets the grease or the extra attention, although the squeaky wheel isn't always really the best ideal customer. You kind of like giving the squeak the VIP treatment, which it should be the other way around. Well, one of the cool things I've got here in front of me is these little M&Ms, this gray goldfish. Now,
the gray goldfish.
I don't know if you could see that, but these are little M&Ms, branded gray goldfish, and it's just a little something extra that Stan had sent out in a package containing a great book and some of his materials. But those things make a difference. Those things are memorable, and a lot of businesses are so forward focused they don't take the time to look back. So what's maybe a piece of advice that you share that's really helpful for people to kind of reflect and maybe act upon?
Well, I think, and I'm certainly have been guilty of this in the past, sometimes you get so focused on the future
Mm-hmm.
and on the prospect that you miss creating a great experience for the customers that you already have.
Right.
And we know just basic rules in business. It can cost 1/10 the amount of money to upsell
Mm-hmm.
a current customer than it does to go out and acquire a new one. And the other thing which I think gets lost in marketing is that almost 80 to 90% of marketing is all about awareness and the prospect. To me, that's the wrong way of looking at marketing. The best form of marketing that we ever do is word of mouth.
Mm.
And who's the most credible source of word of mouth marketing? People that are already doing business with you. So Jay Baer would call these talk triggers.
Mm-hmm.
These ideas of little things that you do that differentiate you, that give your customers a reason to be able to tell your story.
Very impactful. I went to a hotel out in California with my wife for our 10th anniversary, Ritz-Carlton.
Nice.
And when we got there, they put out in decorated rice, happy anniversary, Kathy and Kenny, and they gave us some chocolates and champagne. And you came to mind. I'm like, this is my anniversary, and here's Stan with me. But
they're one of my Hall of Famers. I have a Purple Goldfish Hall of Fame, and Ritz-Carlton absolutely gets it. They give everyone on the staff has up to $2,000 that they can spend without having to get any type of approval. And getting back to what I said before, what I think is lost is that many times we think in business, well, a referred customer, well, they're roughly equal to somebody who we traditionally acquire, right? And they're nowhere near equal, Kenny. So if I've been referred to do business with Rock My Image by someone else, over my lifetime, I'll spend up to twice the amount of money. I stay longer and I spend more, right?
Right.
And this is the kicker. If I've been referred myself by one of your customers, what am I more apt to do?
Refer
other people. So I stay longer and I spend more, but I also refer up to twice the amount of people. So why wouldn't you take care of the customers that you have so they can bring you the type of customers that you want? The ones that are 4 times as valuable as a traditionally acquired customer.
That's a super amplifier right there, because a lot of the times it's forward focusing, like you said. And you just mentioned something. Somebody may be servicing the clients they have, but it's going back to that little bit extra that's going to really make that difference, to give them a reason So this is such a compelling topic that I've seen you speak a couple times. I've checked out your online presentations before, and what got you inspired to really put this as one of your focus or pillars? What led you down this track?
Well, for me, I spent like 2 decades as a brand marketer, and then my latest stint, I've 8 years as the chief solutions officer in an agency. And everything I did for my clients was about, I did things like PR stunts,
Mm-hmm.
product launches, sponsorship activations,
Mm-hmm.
mobile marketing tours that went around the country. And I just realized that stuff was effective. It just wasn't scalable and it wasn't sustainable, right? And I thought marketing should be at least as much about the things that you do for your current customers than it is about trying to pull, that prospective customer in. And I thought to myself, until we get to the point where 51% of marketing is about creating the experience,
Mm-hmm.
then my work is not done.
It's a beautiful message, and something that a lot of people should take a little bit extra time to think about, and how are they applying it in their business. So
Yeah, and I would say caution when you think about it. Some people get so stuck on, well, it's got to be the chocolate chip cookie like a DoubleTree does, or the peanuts while you wait at Five Guys, or even to your point, like the Ritz-Carlton giving you the champagne. But that's one part of it. The other part of it is, how do you do the little things just to be easier to do business with? Like, how do you handle waiting? How do you do a little bit of an added service? Might not even cost you anything, but a little extra time. How do you be more convenient to do business with? And that type of stuff, I think, sometimes gets overlooked with, all right, we have to do some type of extra that we throw in, which is important, but I think they're equally important.
And one of the things that you're doing now, speaking engagements, webinars, creating content, creating workshops, what sort of customers or clients are you aiming to serve and help with getting these ideas in place?
Yeah, so I'm very discerning, Kenny, in terms of who I will speak for.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a rule. I will only speak for companies that have either customers or employees.
Okay. So, all right. So that's going to be.
No. So you're asking me a serious question. I'm giving you a joke of an answer.
A fun
So
answer.
I do literally, what I love about what I do is every day and every week is different.
Mm-hmm.
Like last week I was with a software company on Friday talking about kind of client success and what's called the diamond Goldfish. How do you manage pressure? Next week, today I just did a webinar that was on presentation skills.
Mm-hmm.
So every week is different, and every client is different.
So you really have different colors that you can apply to different businesses and different challenges to help them differentiate.
Right. I think it depends on what challenges that they're facing,
Mm-hmm.
or what they want to do. But everything I do either focuses on brand experience, customer experience, and in the middle is the employee experience.
Right. So,
And
I'm just looking down at some of these cool things. You've got these wonderful produced products that really highlight some of the key points. If people are looking to learn more about this and say, that sounds really intriguing, because I think it's really intriguing and very interesting, by the way, how would they find out more about you and what you do, and where they can get some of your content?
so all of my books are available on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I go exclusive for both ebooks and print books, as well as I use Audible for my audiobooks. But you can just go to stanphelpsspeaks.com, and that has an overview of all of the different types of goldfish.
That's a good place. StanPhelpsSpeaks.com. And he does, and he's doing it right now. I mean, it's proof in the pudding. So one of the things in growth amplifiers we ask is, there's things that we learn on our journey that we know work, and there's sometimes we have challenges, and we can learn by sharing our challenges.
Right.
What's something that you've been challenged with through the years that you've either overcome or it's been a battle to continue to overcome when it comes to growing your business?
Yeah, so I think one of the challenges that I have is I haven't done a very good job of this. As a speaker, you're supposed to try to grow your list,
Mm-hmm.
right? And do a lot of email marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think that's an annoyance. And I realize I can't be great at everything that I do.
Mm.
So it's forced me, and I write about this in the Pink Goldfish, it's forced me to try to lopside in some areas,
Mm-hmm.
where instead of trying to be great at everything, which I think sometimes we get lulled into,
Right.
let's try to be great at everything. It's forced me to try to lopside and double and triple down on a couple of things. And one of those is LinkedIn.
Mm. So it's an important thing to keep in mind. And I'm keeping in mind your time because I know you have a very tight schedule. You're high in demand, and I really appreciate you taking a few moments to share with us and our community. What's something that you do that is gaining awareness and you end up gaining business from?
Well, I try to, especially on LinkedIn, I try to write every day. I try to write 1,299 characters on LinkedIn. So my hashtag is hashtag the 1299. And the reason why 1299, they only give you 1,300 characters when you write a post. But whether it's a video or maybe a photo I share, I always try to write about something that's current or a case study that I think is relevant that people can learn from. And that's something I do to try to give back. As well as with those things like the mini books. I've done over the last couple months a lot of stuff for my previous clients because I can't travel now due to COVID-19. So I want to practice what I preach, is how do I provide value, knowing that if I can help them in a difficult time, that when things rebound, that will come back.
Givers gain. Yeah. A couple more things as we're kind of wrapping up our thoughts here. And I, again, appreciate that. What's a lesson that you've learned or a piece of advice that you would share with others who are on their journey of growing and taking their message to the masses?
Well, I'll say two things. One, I think you really have to be consistent if you're trying to get your message out there to the masses. So to me, the commitment I have to write every day on LinkedIn, that took months and months before I got the traction behind it, right? The second one is, I think sometimes we know ourselves and we know our stuff so well, we assume that everyone knows it as well. They call it the curse of knowledge. And here's the thing that stuns me. For people that are already doing business with us, our current customers, of 100% of what we can do for them, if this is 100%,
right?
What percentage do the customers that already are writing you a check, what percentage of that 100 do you think they know on average?
Ooh, it's going to be a small fraction. I wouldn't want to know it. But yeah.
20.
Yeah, 20%, right?
So one of the things that we talk about in Purple Goldfish is this idea of sampling. And we talk about sampling usually what we do for a prospective customer. But here's one thing I think everybody can listen to here is, no. Think about it for the customers that you already have. How do you figure out, how can you expose them so they start to know about that other 80% that you can do for them that they have no clue?
I love it. There is so much opportunity right in your backyard. Super cool.
And what happens when somebody who's doing one or two things with you, what happens when they start doing 3 or 4 things with you?
Right. That exponential.
They're not going anywhere, right? You're a lot stickier. You're going to do a better job of serving them. And I think that's the challenge for everyone listening to this.
Well, thank you again for sharing some time. And as we wrap up this final thought, what's something that you would like to plug, share with people? So obviously they should go to stanphelpsspeaks.com.
So big fan of this book. It's Silver Goldfish is all about how to create a memorable business presentation. So that could be a pitch, could be a job interview, it could be a conference presentation or a quarterly update to your team. It's the idea of how do you come across loud and clear. So your message becomes, we call it in the book, rememberable.
Love it.
Pick up Silver Goldfish.
Pick up Silver Goldfish. Amplify your business. Take it to the next level. Stan Phelps, you're an amazing, awesome inspiration. Thank you for being with us and sharing with us. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, Kenny.
Got it. Rock on.
Cheers.